So I assembled the best crew in sports again this week. Jake Malik, John Shear, Dave DeRocher. Yes, I'm saying his name right finally. And of course, JB Ellis. We're Sideline Sports. We're here. We're going to start right away because I know our show airs
Get excited
in Atlanta, college football capital of the world. Georgia got beat by Bama, missed the playoffs. But the real story of this isn't so much that Georgia didn't get in, but it's that an undefeated team for a Power 5 conference in the ACC, Florida State, is not there. That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, you go out, you beat everybody on your schedule, you play top 25 teams, you beat Louisville, who's a really good team, in the ACC championship. And your prize for that is to go play Georgia in a non-playoff game.
Yep.
It's absurd.
The best way to describe why it's such baloney is if the NFL just decided, Roger Goodell and the NFL just decided that, let's say the Bengals make the playoffs. Let's just argue for a second. This season, the Bengals can make the playoffs. And the NFL goes, well, you lost Joe Burrow, and so I don't think your team is as good. So too bad you just don't make the playoffs because we said so. And that's basically what's happening. Because they lost their quarterback, and as great as he was, they basically said, well, yeah, we don't want to put you in the playoffs because too bad. That's more or less what happened. And that's just –
keep winning games.
We're going to take away the Eagles' championship in 2017 as well.
Exactly, right.
Was winning MVP and he got hurt. And
because they shouldn't have been there. They should have
been there. Nobody thought Nick Foles was going to do it.
Nope,
he did. So that doesn't count.
No, of course not. That's what's happening here. Just because the quarterback's gone, all of a sudden they're just disqualified, basically. And that's just, I don't know.
It's the most absurd system in sports. Bad enough, we had the BCS before this. Now it's the college football playoffs. 4 teams. You have 5 power conferences right now, and you got 4 teams that make the playoffs backwards. Then on top of that, you have, the other group of 6 or whatever they call themselves, where you get like the smaller conferences and you have teams that go undefeated and they don't get a chance to play. If you haven't lost, how are you not a playoff team? I don't get it.
Yeah, we don't take a look at the the NFC South and go, man, that's just a horrible division. Even though you win the division, you don't get in.
And Dave, to your point, you're wearing a Seahawks hat. Remember, the Seahawks went 7-9, won their division a couple years back, and they won a playoff game against the Saints, who were the former Super Bowl champions. They were the reigning Super Bowl champions, and they beat them in the playoffs. That's where Beastquake was born. So because you think you on paper, maybe Florida State wouldn't be able to compete with those other teams. It's why you play the games, because you don't know what could have happened. And I mean, there's other good players on Florida State. It's not just a quarterback. I understand the quarterback drives this, but that's disingenuous to all the other kids and all the coaches on the team that have helped make this team as great as they were all year, and to say they're only as good as their quarterback. I just think you're sending a bad message to these young adults, these young kids, that, hey, it doesn't matter what you've done. You won every single game, everything put in front of you, you've done. It doesn't matter because you don't have a quarterback. I think that's too stupid.
But they do have a quarterback.
And it goes, and then it starts going deeper. Is that is TCU, are these guys going to start losing recruits just because they don't have a chance to get into that final? A guy that maybe will be in a backup position will still go to Bama because they'll go to the championship at 10-2 or whatever. It just skews the whole thing. The talk of, okay, so expanding it. Well, then how wide do you throw the net? Is this thing going to March? It's kind of just dumb. But the old way didn't work either. So I remember BYU being undefeated and got a code national championship with a 1 or 2 loss Nebraska team.
Yeah.
You know,
So I've been
But
thinking about this with the expansion. Hold on, JB. I've been thinking about this because I wanted to say this. So with the expansion, I think it's going to hurt college football because there's not many sports where the regular season matters. The NBA regular season doesn't matter. MLB, NHL, the regular season doesn't matter. NFL, it matters. College football, it matters, right? So if you expand it to 12, guess what happens? Every year Alabama is going to be in. There's not going to be any mystery except for the 8 through 12s or whatever. Maybe that'll be mystery, but that's not as exciting. We're not having as deep of a conversation as we are now because Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, all those teams that are normally almost in or they just don't quite get in, they'll be in every single year. You'll never have to worry about the top. Those elite teams that are always elite, they'll always be in the playoffs. And that takes away from the regular season because the whole mystique of college football is only 4 can get in and somebody's going to be left out. 5 or 6 elite teams.
so is the only argument is Bama being in over Florida State? The other 3 are good for you guys?
Listen, first of all, Georgia is the champion right now until someone wins it. Their only loss came in the SEC championship game, which to me isn't a real scheduled game. Mm-hmm. That's the only game they've lost. Everybody else except for Washington and Michigan has a loss that's in the playoffs. So the other 2 teams do. So to me, Georgia's still better than the other 2. I don't get how Georgia's not in. And on top of it, the easiest fix to the system was 6 teams. Your Power 5 winners all get in. You win the conference, you're in. And then the group of 6, the best team of the group of 6 gets in. You have a 6-team playoff. Top 2 ranked gets buys, and you play it like the NFL would with a 6-team playoff before they expanded to 7. It was simple. They didn't have to make it difficult to go to 12 where I agree with John. You're going to have the same boring playoffs every year. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, whoever. It's going to be the same schools, Michigan, Ohio State. It's not going to be fun. You're never going to get, a James Madison in there because they're not a big school. Nobody cares, which is sad. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think at the end of the day, the rankings probably should have been, and this is just my personal opinion. Michigan 1, I'm fine with that. Washington 2, that's fine by me. FSU 3, and I only say FSU 3 over Georgia because they were undefeated, so they deserve preference, and just personal opinion. And then Georgia 4. I think it just comes down to that. Like JB, I loved what you said. They're the champs. I mean, they lost 1 game. I mean, I know why they put Alabama in there because it's Nick Saban, it's Alabama, but I agree. Like they lost 1 game. That would be like telling the Chiefs, oh well, you don't make the playoffs because you lost a game. Like that's and I hate to keep using such a ridiculous argument, but that's really what's happening. It's like, well, yeah, you weren't good enough apparently. It's just I've always hated this system.
And so, I mean, you guys, Dave asked about the other teams getting in. The only reason Texas is in is because Alabama won. Because Texas beat Alabama, and Alabama beat Georgia, which means since Alabama beat the number 1 team and Texas only has 1 loss, Texas automatically gets in because Alabama. They had to be.
Exactly.
So
Texas was probably going to make it anyway, though, John.
I don't think so.
They don't deserve to, based on who's 5 and 6. Like I said, they don't deserve to be in.
I don't think so. I don't think they would have got in. I think the Alabama win that they had in Tuscaloosa got them in.
Who would have been the top? Who would have been the top 4 for you, John?
I don't think Texas would have been in.
I get that.
4?
So
I mean, you would have had.
Who would have been your 4?
I mean, you would have had Ohio State over Texas. But
who is your top
Georgia?
4?
Well, Georgia would have got in, of course.
Right, Georgia would have been a definite. Go ahead.
No, I'm telling you, the only 2 teams I would have replaced. I told you the only 2 teams I would have replaced would have been Georgia.
So we're just asking to list your top 4. We're not saying you didn't tell us. We're just saying like just condense it. What was your top 4?
Yeah, Michigan. It would have been Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State, and Washington. That would have been my 4.
So you would have left out FSU still.
I mean, you would have had to. If Georgia
Why?
wins, then you have to leave out FSU.
Why? Why do you have to leave
Because
out
Georgia
FSU?
in that scenario goes undefeated.
But why does Ohio State have to be in? They didn't go undefeated.
They only lost to Michigan.
So what?
So
FSU didn't lose.
Look at Ohio.
Hold on.
Look at Ohio
If
State's
Georgia,
schedule.
hold on. If Georgia makes it because they didn't lose, then they're now undefeated. Why is it that FSU, who didn't lose, is now not allowed in? Why? Because that's the argument you seem to be making, is that Georgia doesn't lose, and so as a result they get in. FSU would have also not lost.
I didn't think FSU was nearly as good as Georgia or nearly as good as Ohio State. Or
No, they're not.
As good as...
I don't think they are either, but they're undefeated. So the point was, I think what we're trying to make is, as the season ended with their respective records, who would you have liked to see in the top four? No what ifs. No what ifs.
I told you my four.
No, what?
No, you should have Georgia. You should have Georgia was undefeated, but they weren't. They lost a game. So
I'm just asking you based on what happened this season.
Oh, what happened? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I liked Oregon. The only team they lost to is Washington twice.
Unless you're top four this season.
Twice.
Based on the way the season unfolded,
Washington.
who was your top four? Number one.
I told you it was Michigan.
Number one, Michigan.
Nope.
Number two, you said Washington.
Washington.
Who was number three? Based on how the season went, not what could have happened.
Oh, based on how the season, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you have your
making
4
the rankings.
I told you. Like, I don't know what more you want.
You know what? If we can't answer a question, let's just go next topic.
Jamie, what was your topic?
Hey guys, I'll tell you what. And I did this last night with there's like 19 former players at an event, and it got heated. But everybody's right. So you know what? It's just, this is one of those things. There is no right answer to it, because it's just a mess. And I think that we'll drive ourselves nuts trying to get an answer out of John, anyways. And so,
what I do love what the NCAA did, what the committee did is they threw the guy from, I believe it was NC State, who's in the ACC, to come out and explain why Florida State, the ACC champion, who went undefeated, beat everyone in their league, why they weren't worthy of getting to the playoff. I thought that was a genius marketing move. And then on top of that, then the ACC said that this was preposterous. So you have, the guy from the ACC on the committee come out and say it doesn't make, that they don't deserve to be there. And then the conference says you're absurd. They do. It's mixed messages. It's horrible.
So this is all real important stuff, but we had something real important just happen on the screen here. Hey, Joe, go Hawks. Man, I appreciate anybody jumping in and lending some sanity to this discussion. Thanks for joining, Joe. Hey, check us out on Hawk Talk next. All right, here we go. What do we got going next?
So, Jake, you have some news for us that you wanted to tell us about.
I sure do, because I think we all agree Robert Sullivan has not been a very good head coach, and unfortunately his team has just not been great. Like I love him as a defensive coordinator. I think he does a great job there. I just don't think he's fit for a head coaching job, or at least from what I've seen. And that's whatever. But I'm a big fan of WFAN. That is the local radio station by, out here in Jersey, New York. You can hear it out here. And that is all New York talk. So, of course, the other day I'm listening to it, and I heard a story that I couldn't help but just think Rob Saleh should have been fired on the spot, because there is a former host, and his name is Joe Beningo. He has since retired, but he was a huge host for many years at the Fan. And he still comes on as a kind of like a guest appearances here and there. And he has a personal relationship with Rob Saleh. They are not just like, reporter and coach. It is, there's a friendship. Like, they've gone golfing together. They talk all the time. They text all the time. So Beningo texts him and says, hey, this is just my opinion to fix everything. And he lays out like a 6-step plan. And step number 3, which is the one that's really in question, is that he says he needs to start Zach Wilson again at quarterback. And here is the conversation as I go. Joe Beningo writes, you got to go back to Zach. And then Saleh writes back, are you kidding me? And unfortunately for Coach Saleh, Beningo went on radio and basically said, look, I know he's going to get mad at me for repeating this, but this is what he said. And out of context, without knowing what Coach Saleh meant, it looks like he's saying, well, why would I go back to Zach? He sucks. And it is just a giant mess. And I have so many questions. But my number one question is, why is the head coach texting a former radio host all of this information and actually entertaining any of this? And it blows my mind. But if it couldn't get worse, wait, it does. Coach Saleh then texted Joe after they kind of made up, and apparently is still willing to talk and be friendly with him, from what I understood. And it doesn't mean their relationship is over. So the guy outed him on radio, made him look like an absolute moron, and he's still willing to be like friends with him and like talk to him. Am I missing something? How would you do that?
It's a really simple thing. People in the media and people in sports can be friends.
Yeah.
It happens.
You don't have to feed him information, though. That's the problem.
He didn't feed him information. If I'm talking to my friend, I expect that they would not go about my personal business and disclose it.
I don't disagree, but
the fact that Robert Saleh is still friends with him, that's on him.
That's what I mean. That's where I'm throwing my question mark.
He does a great show. He did a great show when he was there. But Dave, you have friends that were in the media when you played, right?
Yeah, and I think you're hit right on the head. You should be able to have a conversation with your friend. Now, the reporter needs to be a professional and know when it is that he can share those things and when he can't. Yep. When he's got a buddy, just being honest with them. Because, frankly, there was one guy that interviewed me, and this was actually at San Diego State. And assuredly, every time I'd spend 30 minutes with him talking. And what made it on the TV was the 30-second clip of me going, fumbling through whatever, dumb question I was getting through. Meanwhile, for 26 minutes and 34 seconds, I'm pontificating and spitting this great stuff. But and he came up to me and said, I'm not going to talk to you, man. You make me look like an idiot every time. I don't know if that's your job, but some reporters are like that, and I think it's on them. I don't think the coach should be able to speak freely to a friend.
So, Dave, let me ask you this: First of all, let me preface this by saying I don't think this story is true at all. I think this is
it is
made up. I think it's bogus. He has no proof there is no proof that this is.
No, Jake saw it online, so it's got to be true.
He saw it online.
No, I heard it on the radio. And
he heard it.
Joe
on the
Benigno
radio
was an extremely successful. Hold on, no, because I take offense to this. Like, JB can back me up. Joe Benigno was a very famous host.
Jake, let me explain it to you. As a person who lived in New York and listened to the Fan almost their whole life, Joe Benigno was one of the best on the Fan. He's not making up a story. He doesn't need to for credibility. There are certain people that I would say, okay, there had to be a reason. Joe Benigno, if he said it, it probably happened. I'm not doubting the story. I'm just doubting his judgment to go behind his friend's back and share that. That's just wrong on so many levels.
He said on radio, his exact words were, he might get mad at me for saying this, but I don't care.
Yeah,
I love this comment.
I agree with
I couldn't see Pete doing that either.
No, of course not, because he's better judgment.
And I don't see any head coach doing that at all, being that stupid.
That's part of the problem here.
No, that's why I don't think it happened, because I don't think coaches
listen,
where they would put that out there. About their
the Jets had the Jets have had issues with their head coach. They had Bill Belichick as the head coach for about 10 minutes.
But
they had Foot Fetish Ryan as the head coach.
No head coach is going to text anybody about their personnel decisions and what they're planning on doing.
That's what makes this story so unbelievable.
John,
exactly. It's not
Jets, Jets. It explains it all. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays.
Would you like me to go to his social media and find pictures of him and Saleh together? Because they are friends. Like, this is
doesn't mean the conversation happened.
It doesn't mean the conversation.
I have pictures with a lot of people I don't talk to.
So. I think you guys are grasping at straws because there's no proof.
I don't think so.
No proof to it.
There's not proof of a lot of things in life, but you have certain people you kind of take for their word.
You can't use that cop out. You got to have proof. JB, you can't use that cop out because in this situation.
Hold on. Actually, you know what? No. Here's the proof I need.
with the stakes as high as this is, because this is huge for his career, for the future of what he is as a head coach in the NFL. Because this would really put him in a hole if he ever wants to be a head coach again, because he probably isn't going to last much longer on the Jets. This is huge for his career. So if you're going to say something like this, you gotta have proof, because you can't just put that out there and ruin a guy's career like that.
John, Joe Beningo is a 70-year-old man.
It does not matter. It doesn't matter.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish, please, because I'm a little bothered that you like discredit a journalist. As somebody who minored in journalism, this is a little infuriating. I'm sorry. And as somebody who is also a journalist, you should know journalists do not just make up stories like this.
Journalists lie. They lie.
No, they don't. And
yes,
that is the issue that I'm going to take. So do you lie?
So
John, are you telling me you're a liar? Hold on. Are you a liar, John? Because you're a journalist.
Are you?
Oh God, this is John. So Dave, let's have our conversation now.
Yeah, I
really.
So,
I mean,
listen.
Cool if you think it sounds a little outlandish,
there are some journalists that do not tell the truth, but a lot of it comes down to who is releasing the story.
Let's not say lie, but stretch the truth to make it seem like. So I think any journalist would want to be the person that gets the scoop, that appears to have the inside line. So Jake, I don't know.
Hold on.
If I sit here, just like this name drop, and I was just on a call Sunday morning with the new executive director of the NFLPA, Lloyd Howell, and we're talking about all the most important topics for the new CBA. I could expand the truth and make me look more important, so people will want to listen to me. And so that's, I think, the point John's making. We don't know,
and why I know he's wrong. Because Beningo came on radio this morning and made an apology saying that was misinterpreted. I talked to Coach Saleh. That was not what he was telling me. So why would he, if he was trying to get the scoop on a story, why would he go back and be like, "Oh, I apologize. Like I talked to the coach."
And he's retired.
What he was trying to say was
he's retired. What benefit does he have?
What more does he have to gain from life? He doesn't have to work a day in his life. He doesn't care. He comes on because he loves it. And if you listen to him, and JB does.
I don't know his motive. I can't.
Right.
Can't give you what
he's trying to disprove it.
But that doesn't mean
with nothing.
The story is true.
Oh, that is a great story, though. Whether it's true or not, it was a great conversation. But speaking of great conversation, so I was at this party the other night, and we were talking about sports betting, and I was explaining to them about the MyBookie deposit bonus, 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. So
nobody else does that.
Start with $1,500. Yeah. Nobody else
does that.
Start out with $1,500. You could go out. You do what I did this weekend and bet Kansas City and Jacksonville and be very upset, bet the Eagles and have egg on my face. Or you could be like Dave and take San Francisco. When you listen, Sunday afternoon at 12 right before kickoff, listen to Dave. He had San Francisco. Me, I don't think I did.
Well, but only listen to me if I'm not betting, because that's when I win. If I have a vested interest, then I try and get, because I want to get as many plus sides and bang for my buck. But if I'm playing with your money, I'm really good.
Actually, I saw a comment. Joe Stevens said can't do that in Washington. I know you can't do that in certain states with FanDuel and the other ones.
California,
my bookie is the one that doesn't have to necessarily follow what the other ones follow. So Joe, you should be fine with that. My bookie is one of the few that doesn't have the restrictions.
Use code Sideline.
I get on.
Code Sideline, you get that 50% deposit bonus, and you're good to go. They have the boxes for people that don't want to pick a team, you just want to get numbers and randomly do it. They have special bets, player props. There's all sorts of things you can do on MyBookie. MyBookie.ag, code Sideline.
You know what I can promise you? Unlike what John is questioning about being legitimate, this is a legitimate offer, and we will take care of you. This I can promise you, no matter what. This I know to be real.
But more importantly, last night, in a play that sticks out of my mind, because it happened to me twice when I played football, but unlike Dave, I wasn't a pro. Trevor Lawrence, the lineman went back, stepped on his ankle. It rolled over. I thought it was a knee injury because I hurt my knee twice with very similar type plays.
Mm-hmm.
Where a guy rolled on your leg and you went down and your leg kind of didn't go the way it was supposed to go. I thought he was done for a long time, but now they're saying it's an ankle, which is a positive sign, I think. And more importantly, they ended up losing the game when C.J. Beathard came in because of Jake Browning, who I thought was phenomenal last night, backing up Joe Burrow. What's everyone's thoughts on this?
Well, statistically, I think he looked great. And I think what Troy was pointing out is how cool, calm, and collective he was, and a backup with not many reps, but he's had success at the lower levels, and he was just in there slinging, kind of like Love. These young kids, Purdy, they're just going in and they look a lot more calmer than I think rookies of the past. And I don't know what to attest it to, but he looked really good. It looked like a leader out there, and threw a pick and didn't seem to bother him. He just went and did his business.
Yes, he was, Joe, former Husky. He was phenomenal, Browning. I thought when I saw the Steelers game, I know that they didn't score a lot of points. He didn't look great, but you saw he was comfortable in the pocket. He knew how to lead the offense. And I was like, this kid's not that bad. And then I went against myself, and I bet Jacksonville. If I ever listened to myself, I'd be a millionaire. But, I'm like, I like the kid back in the pocket. Now they're going against the Jaguars. The Jaguars stink against the pass. He was lighting them up.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
You know what? What he did was smart, which is rely on his weapons. I think at the end of the day, it's what it comes down to. I don't think he tried to force the ball into, any situations that weren't, let's call it safe. He took what the defense gave him a lot, and it worked. I mean, he relied on Jamar Chase. They got the run game going a little bit between both. I think it was his last name was Chase was the running back, as well as Joe Mixon.
Mixon looked good.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what it came down to, I think. And it's not to discredit what he did. I think Browning looked great, but he was very smart with the ball, and I give him a lot of credit because it's not easy, especially in such a pivotal game, like with the pressure really on, not just because it's prime time, but because of the playoff implications at the point. It's not easy, so I give him some credit.
So I want to switch away from football for a second. I happened. As the football game was going on, I was paying attention to the Celtics-Pacers game, the NBA in-season tournament. Let me tell you, the fans in Indianapolis last night and the players, they were going crazy like it was the NBA Finals. And, it was December, 3rd yesterday? Oh, no, December 4th yesterday. Yeah. They were going crazy, like what they were playing for. The excitement.
They're playing for nothing at the end of the day. Like it's a regular season game.
They're playing, yeah. I mean, the players.
That's what it comes down
a lot
to.
More money, yeah.
But you know what I mean. But in terms of it's not like they're fighting for a championship, is what I mean. It's not.
Well,
at the end of the day, it counts as a regular season game.
I'll tell you this from somebody that kind of has gotten away from the NBA because it just turned into a political mess. And I love the sport. I mean, that was my number one sport was basketball, and I think this is brilliant because we all know the adage of the NBA is that it's all preseason until December. So it's like the players didn't really seem to matter a whole lot, but just you put that little bit of competition in, a little bit of a spiff, and it's just like when we go play golf. You play golf, you have fun until someone says, "All right, quarter a hole," and then I don't care what day it is, man. It's like, "All right, game on, let's go," and. So it's taken something that has kind of been a boring portion of the season to watch and turn it into something. I think it's genius.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, to see the reaction, the fans were going crazy. Yeah. Like literally, I've seen NBA final games where the fans don't make half as much noise. And this was basically the quarterfinals. Are you kidding me? It was great to watch. The players were all into it. And then the same thing happened. The same thing happened in the Sacramento game.
Great. They looked really, really good. So it wasn't just the fans are into it. Like they looked really, really, really just phenomenal. Like, there's no other words to describe how great they looked.
Yeah,
and
I think
it's fun to see that during the regular season and not wait for the playoffs.
Tournament has been a giant success, not just from the money prize standpoint for the NBA, but just I mean, people talking about the NBA, how much the players seem to be enjoying it, the fans do. I like the courts. A lot of people don't, but I think the
Love it.
courts are kind of fun and different. You know what I mean? It changes things up a little bit for
Something
those
other
nights.
than we're used to.
Courts are unique, you know, and they're
They're
trying
ugly.
something different. I don't think
Oh,
so. I
you're
think
wrong.
they're unique. Some aren't great. Some are really cool. But it's
I
kind of
love
like
the idea of it.
when they do end zones, you know, in the NFL, like different color end zones for a game. You know, they're trying something different, and I applaud them for it.
Well, I tell you what, the only good thing about the Aztecs football season this year were the end zones. The final game, they painted the end zones like the helmets. I don't know if you guys have seen those helmets with all the Aztec, graphics all the way around. The end zones were painted that way, and
That's cool.
and that was cool. But the
Very
court,
cool.
unless you've played basketball, especially when you start getting to those higher levels you're playing in arenas. So so like I said, I played a little bit of basketball. I actually lettered in basketball 1 year at San Diego State, and I've never played in front of 12,000 people. And I get into the game. First of all, I'm wearing my practice jersey because my game jersey didn't fit. They had to run back to the school to get my practice jersey. I guess I didn't think I was going to get in anyways. But anyway, so I got in the game and I got fouled. Actually, they didn't even foul me. The guy blocked the shot. The guy's 6'11". I'm only 6'7". Anyway, so I go and I airball the first one because, like I said, the arena is just vast and it's dark. When you're playing in high school, you see everybody. I mean, the lights are there. There's 800 people or whatever. And I airballed the first one and banked the second one in. But we played on some courts that were really funky, and it skews your like how you feel in space. So when they have those opaque like blanket colors and you don't see the boards and you don't see stuff, I can see it being kind of a difficult thing to get used to.
Does the paint mess you up at all, like slippery wise on the floor?
Yeah, that was my
because you
concern
need your
with it.
footing. Does that mess you up?
It absolutely does, especially when it gets a little bit wet. And then some of these, like we played at BYU where they had those elevated floors, so you step down. So when you're running around and your players are all, you see their heads. It's you don't want to get close to the border. There's some of those.
Well, that happened to a Miami Heat player this year. I forget what arena it was. He stepped. It kind of was like one of those areas where it goes down a little bit, and he stepped down, and it was like a hole, and he is out for a season because he tore his ACL or whatever. So yeah, I know what you're talking about with that. It's not safe, but I guess that's how some arenas are.
A lot of college arenas that have that where especially in the tournament sometimes the bigger arenas where they try to fit everybody in, they have that what do you call it, landing where it's just down. Scary stuff.
It's not great.
But speaking of scary stuff, let's bring in the legend himself, Rafael Esparza.
Jeez.
It's pretty scary.
Wow.
Scary. I thought he was like a room. I would have called him a good dude, good friend, nice guy, whatever you want to call him.
He's taking all my money lately.
Man,
he's not taking my money. I don't gamble.
Tough place to call his friends right now. I take back the happy birthday I gave Dave the other day.
What? I didn't say anything mean about you.
I'll blame JB. It's his fault.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Well, we're
not much. You?
I was actually just in a meeting, and we actually just put out the possibility numbers of the championship games for college football. Oh. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So if it's Alabama, Texas, Alabama will be a 3.5-point favorite. If it's Alabama, Washington, Alabama will be a 7-point favorite. If it's Washington and Michigan, Michigan will be a 6.5-point favorite. And if it's Texas and Michigan, Michigan would be a 3.5-point favorite. The guys that have, there's a whole group of odds makers from Vegas to global. There's a couple guys from England in there that we always get on a phone call for topics like this and stuff like that. Texas and Michigan was probably the one that we had a lot of bickering. You're crazy, no way. Which I'm hoping that's the national champion because I would love not to see an SEC championship, SEC team in there. But that was probably the biggest one that we had. A lot of
Oh.
people in the Zoom people wanted Texas to be a small favorite. So I was one of them. I think Texas should. I think they had the most dominating performance last week. I thought their offense, their run game was outstanding. Their defense, especially in the second half, was really good. Michigan, I just don't know about Michigan's offense. If they can't run the ball, they're very, very beatable.
Raphael, hang on. Before we go any further, I got to understand this. There's a council of line makers, and you guys get together on Zoom.
Yes, I don't want to say council. We're all friends. I don't want to say we're a council.
I mean, this is like knights of the betting tables. I'm loving this. I want to just sit there and watch one of these.
Yeah,
I can just see this conversation.
I don't want to say like we all put our pens on the table like they do with the knights, like in I can't think of the movie, but yeah, it can be very interesting. I got very, very lucky invited into the Knights of the Odds Maker. I have no idea.
How many are in this group? Is there like 20?
No, there's more. I have no clue who's on this email stash Zoom channel. No clue.
JB, it wouldn't help you being in there anyways. You don't listen.
No. This is fascinating.
JB just wants to know the logic of why they set lines, so he can still bet wrong, but can't blame anybody.
This is fast. Come on, don't you love to find out how things work?
Well, yeah. This is my point. Before I was interrupted, is that you wouldn't listen anyways because Raphael tells you don't
That's
parlay,
not true.
and every week you tell us what your parlay bets are.
That's right.
That's not true. I bet the under last night.
Dave is
100%. All of it. You're worse than John.
Dave is 110% on that one. I also had the under, which I didn't mind losing that. I do a Monday night live show for Monday Night Football. And last night we just had over 100 people just firing questions. And I told them right before kickoff, I like the under. My logic is 13 out of the last 12 NFL Monday Night Football games have gone under. I bet this trend since week 3. So even if I lose, I'm still up on this trend. And people were bashing me. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not how you handicap games. I'm like, what do you mean?
12 out of 14. I'm all in.
Yeah, remember when the Tampa Bay Rays started baseball last year? They hit 14 straight run line plays. They were red hot. Those are ones you don't even handicap. You could care less who's pitching or you care less who's hit. You just bet it because it's hot. Yeah, you just keep on betting. It's hot. That's why I tell people.
Just keep betting that the Pistons will lose because they don't. I mean, you win a lot of money.
They do cover. They do cover. The Pistons. They're like the Chicago Bulls in the 90s with Jordan. They would be minus 23, 24, 25 and stuff like that, and they'll pull Jordan, Pippen, and Kukoc Rodman out, and they'll lose by 10 or win by 10.
Here's the crazy part: even if you get if every game goes over and you bet the under for the rest of the season, you still made money on the year. That's the truth of it. So
as of right
now, I know you want to keep
60%.
winning, but at the end of the day, like you've made your money. So to those who say you're stupid, first of all, they're just wrong. But second of all, you ride the trends. The trends say go with the under. It's obviously right. What's the worst that happens? You get a little closer to even as opposed to being up more. Okay, you're still up at the end of the day. It's not like you ever go under. You know, if you assuming you bet the same amount every week, unless you JB and I don't know what his betting.
You just want to keep being up more and more. It's never enough.
The sad part is, I mean, from my industry, and even when I was in the casino, like if you told someone something or you promised them something, you don't deliver and all that, you're the worst is the worst. Like I always tell people, go to my YouTube channel, see one of my daily free plays, and read the comments because I approve them all. Because I approve them all, and I agree. Like, oh, you lost, you suck. Didn't you see the final score? I'm like, oh no, thanks for reminding me. And when I used to work at MGM, and people would always like cuss us out and throw stuff at us when the bettors lost and all that. And our thing back then was always tell customers have a grand day. So now I say that all the time, like on YouTube, like, oh, you suck. I just type in "have a grand day" and just because
that makes them more mad.
Yeah, but a lot of times they don't reply back. They know you saw it. They're like, oh shoot, this guy's gonna keep on responding. I'm not gonna reply anymore. It's no fun.
Yeah, listen,
you kind of ruin their fun.
That's like back in the day when Ozzie Guillen gave me the finger. You know, I love him after that. I was abusing him all game. He gave me the finger, so it showed me he had personality. You know, so I had nothing but respect for him after that. He acknowledged me. We're cool. You know, and I have a great relationship with the Guillen family now. Had them on the show. Great people. And he has personality. Listen, nobody's always right. You know, if you were always right, you wouldn't be giving away your picks. You'd be a billionaire.
Yeah.
That's like when I went to Universal Studios a couple years ago and I saw, the Grinch, and my wife was like, "You got to go up and get a picture with him." I'm like, "Yeah, I want him to roast me." Went up to him and he roasted me, and I was so happy. My wife's like, "You're weird. Why are you happy?" I'm like, "I'm happy. The Grinch."
Because he's the
I love
Grinch.
the Grinch. It's one of my favorite Christmas.
Did we all at least on a live show wish Dave a happy birthday over the
Happy
weekend?
birthday, Dave.
Happy
Thank you
birthday.
very
Yes,
much.
Dave.
Happy
Happy
40th
belated
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Did you do anything fun, Dave, on your birthday?
I'm 59. I woke up and that was awesome. You know.
And
And then I did barbecue some filet mignons and just kind of did a 59-year-old grown-up birthday.
I tell people
And no invite for the
having
filet mignon.
having heart procedures, waking up every day is my birthday. So
Yes, sir.
so
For sure.
that is but
Well,
I'm glad
We're
you're still
grateful
here, Dave.
everybody's here.
Appreciate it. So hey, who wants to take a stab at the national champion? What's going to be the two teams that emerge and then who do you have to win the whole thing?
Well, I'll give you the future odds right now for the hold on, let me find them. Michigan's plus 170, Alabama's plus 185, Texas is plus 285, and Washington is 7-1. I thought Texas. I played Texas right after they won their game, thinking, okay, they won. I thought Georgia was gonna win their game. I still thought Texas was gonna leapfrog Florida State and get in. So I bet Texas right after they won their game at 6-1. And I still think after, like I said, the performance, I think the football gods would give me the middle finger and give Washington to win it all and say death to the Pac-12 and give me double birds and while Washington's holding the national championship.
Eli's special, the double birds.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. I just don't. I think Michigan and I think the winner of Texas and Washington would not shock me win it all.
Yep.
Okay.
I would love to see Washington win it. Obviously, the Pac-12 being gone would be great for that, but I just like Washington. They're having a great year. You know, they beat Oregon twice.
If they play their defense like they did against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, they're going to be a hard out. Because Oregon, I'm sorry, Oregon's the fastest team, and they're faster than any SEC team and stuff like that. Bo Nix struggled right from the start, and they were behind right off the get-go.
How were they double-digit dogs against Oregon in the championship?
I'm sorry, Oregon was playing really, really good football coming into that game. I don't know about double digits, but we couldn't make it 7 and stuff like that because we were getting pounded by Oregon money as they were double digits. So just think if we made like 7 or 6 or 7 and stuff like that. It went down to 9.5 really late. I mean,
I think
really
I got
early
10 when I put my bet in.
Yeah, and got jumped back up to 10. So it's not like we were getting all Washington money.
Yeah.
I sat there and I thought it was the biggest gift in the world when I got 10. I'm like, seriously? This team beat them once already. They're going to beat them a second time. And I'm like, even if they don't win, all I got to do is keep it close and I'm a winner.
Yeah, it was. I was a little shocked on how in the start of the game, Bo Nix. I mean, I told people at halftime he lost the Heisman. I mean, he could throw 4 touchdown passes in the second half, but people are going to remember that he couldn't do anything in the first half. But it should be interesting to see what happens in the national championship. I kind of agree why Florida State is mad, but at the same time, I think the committee just didn't want to see another TCU outcome last week. The ratings last year for the championship game was horrendous. Everyone didn't even talk about Georgia's championship game. All they talked about was how bad the national championship was. I understand that if Florida State may have a second or third string quarterback, we can't have another 63-10 final stuff like that. I understand that, but at the same time, then why play the games? Dave always tells us you play games to win. Exactly. Why even play the games if you're not going to be invited to the dance?
Yeah. Exactly.
And what shocked me still, we've seen this before where the winner of the SEC championship, got it obviously, but the team that lost the SEC championship, which was undefeated before, ended up getting in. This year, we went away from that. I was shocked Georgia to get in.
I wasn't shocked. Georgia lost just at the worst time. If they would have lost in week 2, week 3, like maybe
been easy to forget.
maybe with Texas, it would have been and still be number 1. And let's say won that national and beat Alabama, they would have got in no matter if a one loss. But they just lost at the worst time where you had a Texas team, which I still think had the best victory of the season. I don't care it was Alabama's week 2. They didn't have a quarterback. I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, they went to Tuscaloosa and won by
double
digits. Not by a field goal, not by a pick 6, but went to Tuscaloosa and won by double. Just like the 49ers. Let's say the Eagles, ring off a whole bunch and they meet an NFC championship and we make the 49ers the favorite. People are like, why are you making the 49ers a favorite? It's at Philly and stuff like that. Well, then we could come back and say, hey, you know what? In late or early December, what did the 49ers do in Philly? They won by double digits and stuff like that. That's what the same outcome was. But I totally understand why Georgia fans are upset. But I really, really feel bad for Florida State. Now I shouldn't. I don't feel bad anymore because now Ron DeSantis is trying to sue the college football playoff committee. So now I don't feel bad for him anymore. Now I'm laughing.
That's funny.
Well, that's the way the society is. Let's sue. So,
of course, if you don't like it, then you sue.
What was the betting action like on Florida State not to make the playoffs? Because I know I had some of that because it was
a lot of
great
people
odds.
a lot of people were betting to know that they wouldn't. People, especially after Florida State won, we got some yes money come in right when Alabama beat Georgia. Because let's face it, I think everyone said, okay, Florida State has to be in now. They won, but yes, their defense looked really good against Louisville, but I'm sorry. It was like I was watching Iowa play football in that game. It was an awful game. That's what I mean. Iowa's bowl game total is only like 34 and a half, and they're playing Tennessee. I mean, the Army-Navy total this week is only 27 and a half.
Oh, gosh.
What a surprise.
Again, just bad football product on TV.
What was Iowa's first half total? I know you texted it to us, but I don't. Not everyone knows.
A half a point was their first half football total, and everyone bet the over. It was minus. It was minus. No, it was a half minus. I think 260, 280 on the over. People were betting the over, and people were betting the over in a game because they're like, I think people thought they just had to, just like New England Pittsburgh Thursday night game. The total is 29 and a half right now.
That's so bad.
People are going to bet it just because, hey, I'm stunk watching this game. My wife is watching Elf or The Christmas Story. I'm going to watch this game no matter what. I want to see some touchdown scores.
I can't watch Mitch Trubisky versus Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi.
I'm going to watch it, but I'm not going to enjoy it.
I think there's 12 non-week 1 starting quarterbacks out.
It's bad.
Oh.
This is bad. It's going to come down to who's got the healthiest quarterback.
Tom Brady was right. You guys laughed at me. Tom Brady was 110%.
Right. Hey guys, let me tell you what one of the topics was that we discussed with the new executive director, and they all have to do with this competition and injuries.
Oh.
The players are actually asking for more contact. The players firmly believe that the reason why there's so many injuries is they're not ready, and
makes some sense.
They just, just like everything, just like the government, everything else, things go unregulated, and then the powers to be come in and regulate the crap out of everything, and then screw it up. And so we're seeing penalties, we're seeing subpar performance in football, we're seeing a lot of injuries. So the two big topics are more contact, less preseason games, and more team scrimmage type deal where it's controlled. So, you could do 1 or 2 series, sub out, do things. Preseason games we all know are useless.
Yep.
And then the other thing is still this hot topic on turf. Ways of getting away from turf completely. Even with the stadiums, and the Raiders and other teams have proven it can be done. It's going to cost a lot of money, but those are a couple of the things that just the injuries have been crazy this year, and it's been a brutal season of football.
And again, Dave,
these
teams,
turnovers, penalties.
these teams,
Injuries.
and they can't really complain about it being the money aspect for having to have real grass in there, because again, whenever they have soccer teams come in and play games, they put in grass and they take out the turf and they put in grass for them. You're doing it for soccer players in that very stadium, but the NFL players, you refuse to spend the money on it, but you'll spend the money on the soccer players.
Well, I'll tell you why. I know why,
on.
though.
Speaking of the grass is greener, go to mybookie.ag, use code Sideline, and your grass will be 50% greener. Your $1,000 will turn into $1,500 when you use code Sideline on your first deposit. Then you could go ahead and bet that over on Thursday night. And who cares if Mac Jones plays or Bailey Zappi or Mitch Trubisky? Because you got the over. And you all know what happens when you bet the over.
You lose.
Points. We all want to see points. Don't bet the points. Listen to Raphael. Under. Don't watch Monday night's game.
Don't watch
Monday
Thursday
night is an
night's game.
aberration.
Thursday night, if you really want a good Christmas present from the wife or the kids, say, guys, let's do a family night Thursday night. Let's go to the movies. Let's play a game. Let's go out to dinner. I can guarantee you might get some good gifts, because why would you just want to waste your time and watch New England and Pittsburgh?
Well, and make it know that you're sacrificing, that you're giving up a Thursday night primetime game to spend time with the family. Make sure that's known.
We're Amazon jersey on all day.
That's next level thing.
Hey, Raphael, what's the line on the Niners at home against the Seahawks? I'm going up to that game.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that.
Yeah, well, I gotta ask.
It's 10.5, and 90% of the money coming in right now is on the 49ers.
Oh, that's too low.
Wow.
So I would not be shocked if it's going to be 11.5, probably around. I don't see 12 because these two teams know each other well. I mean, the 49ers could have a hangover effect, having a big double digit, but I think
with what they did to the Seahawks a couple weeks ago, I don't know.
I agree, but I'm just saying.
Listen, I need Gino to have a big game.
I wonder why.
They are humming.
We're not going to get into
I wonder why, JB.
I don't.
We need Gino. Bet the over props.
Okay. So, John, to go back to your whole comment on the grass, though, because I did want to comment on that.
Yeah.
The reason they do it for soccer players, and this is maybe a bit of a generalization, but I do think it's relatively fair. A lot of football stadiums are not also soccer stadiums.
I understand
they're usually separate. But what I wanted to get at, and MetLife is just an easy example because it's close to home for me, but a lot of stadiums, and you pick a stadium, they probably do, the Link I know does as well, and you pick anywhere. Anyway, a lot of stadiums are used as venues for other events like concerts and such. That's why they won't do it.
But the main reason
I vehemently disagree with it, and I am 100% with you, John. I have argued that it's ridiculous, and you don't grow up and get away with and deal with the cost for how much money you make.
But you didn't build MetLife for a Taylor Swift concert or for soccer games. You built it because the Giants and the Jets. That's why you built it.
I'm 100% with you, but that's the argument the owners are going to make 100 times out of 100, which is to rip up the grass every single time for a concert is ludicrous, or to try and set up for a concert on top of grass is also ludicrous. It's just not going to happen. So while why?
The Rose Bowl does it.
They do that how often?
Well, they do a lot of concerts, actually.
No, like
Rose Bowl.
No. How often do they have to
I've been to them. I was just at Coldplay, and they have the whole thing. Whole grass was covered.
How often do they have to turn around from game to concert? Is what I'm saying. That's not particularly often, I don't think. That's what I'm getting at. What I'm saying that the owners are thinking about is Giants and Jets in season play basically on any given week. It's almost usually there's somebody home on a given week. It's not usual that they're both away. So if they have a concert, which is very normal during the week, and then also the Giants and Jets have something to do, it becomes really difficult. That's why. I don't agree with it, but I just know that's going to be the argument.
Concerts make more money than NFL football games because the NFL only plays 17 weeks. They only have a certain amount of home games.
Yep.
You can go see concerts all in nice areas of Rose Bowl.
And that's exactly the problem.
Yeah, so
Well,
they could care less. And football attendance is down every year because people are staying at home watching on YouTube
It's a
TV.
lot
They can watch
cheaper.
all the
Oh,
games.
did you see that? Did you see the attendance of the Patriots game? Half the stadium was empty.
Yeah.
So for
I've
them to
never
do
seen
turf,
that.
it's a
I've
lot
never
easier.
seen that in an NFL game. No matter how bad the teams are, they'll I mean, the Saints back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, they're wearing bags on their heads, but they were there.
They're very close wearing bags in their heads.
Oh,
I've never seen a half a
I've
stadium
seen
in an
some empty
NFL game
stadiums.
empty.
But that's what it comes. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
I
Ralph,
think it comes down to, Jake, and this is my opinion. I think that the NFL owners don't want to give too much power to the players, and this is what the players want, and they don't want the players to have what they want because it's always a power struggle. I think that's what it comes down to. And so if this is what they want, I don't want to give it to them because I don't want them to have.
Spite their nose to spite their face.
I don't want it. Yep.
I don't know about that.
I don't want this to be like the NBA where the players have the say. I think that's
this is a safety issue, not a player's. I understand what you're saying, but it's going to hurt them. It's hurting the owners in the long run, and I think they're smarter than
Safety,
that. Know that. Like if the players are
trumps most things, if they can.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that, but like take the Giants as an easy example. If Saquon's not on the field, fans care a heck of a lot less because he is their offense. The Giants want to keep him healthy at all costs, and so and a lot of teams would do the same for their stars. So I don't entirely disagree with what you're saying. I like the core of it, and I like the power struggle point is fair. I just think at the end of the day, it's a little bit. I think there's a little more to it than that, just because they want their players on the field, and they kind of need them because it's what the fans come for. So,
I don't think owners care about winning as much as you and I do.
No, they don't.
No, but they care about money, and if their players are not on the field, then they're not making as much.
But they can make up that money putting an extra date of Taylor Swift coming in the summer. They're going to make up twice.
Exactly my point. And what's easier to maintain, grass or turf with a concert? Turf. 100 times I know it's way easier to just pull out the turf and put on.
I'm just saying that because I don't want the Swifties mad at me. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that because I don't want the Swifties mad at me. They put nasty comments on YouTube.
Oh, they're angry. Don't. It's like feeding a gremlin after midnight. Just don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
All right,
don't do it.
We got Hawk Talk up next.
I think that's about it. We got Hawk Talk coming up next. If you're watching live,
yeah,
KJ Wright's going to be on.
KJ Wright's coming on the show. He's running a few minutes behind, but KJ Wright's going to be on. And
still waiting for Dave to invite me on to Hawk Talk, but that's another day. It's another show.
Eventually,
Raphael, I went through this already. You have this council. You're a part of it. None of us have been invited.
I was going to tell Hawk Talk Nation that they were going to upset the 49ers this win. Don't take the plus. Take the money line. That's what I was going to say on Hawk Talk, but I wasn't invited.
Well, you are now.
Wow. You ever see Seinfeld? You ever see Seinfeld with the junior mids how they're watching the surgery? I just want to be like the guy with the junior mids watching the surgery in this meeting.
Maybe send Raphael the link. So.
Now you've been invited.
Now you got to show up.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Hey, what are the odds on that?
I would
not very good.
I want to shove a quick dinner in my mouth, and I will be.
Wow.
All right.
Take it easy.
The link has been emailed. See you later, Raphael.
All right, but
till next week, guys. Jake Malik, John Shear, Raphael Esparza, Dave DeRocher. I'm JB Ellis. This is Sideline Sports. Dave, what you got to say?
Hey, be good humans. We'll see you next week.